Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Sam, we got a hot one today on the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaching show simply powered by the Full Court Network. Sammy, you're with me. One of my favorite places in the world, and you know I was meant to live there, right? It's not Akron, Ohio. You know, it's all about the U. We got the leader, the new leader of Miami Hurricanes basketball. We got Jay Lucas. Welcome to the Full Court Press, Coach.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, this is an honor and a pleasure, Sam. All I think of is like Uncle Luke.
I know. Right, but it's you had to follow your family up to Akron, Luke. So it's I know you were destined to live in Coral Gables and
it's my
and
jam.
be down there with Miami. But Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice. You know, excited about the season getting closer, getting ready to start, get going. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Sounds so like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were introduced as the new head coach pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
Still well in season at Duke. You were introduced to navigate the new era of college basketball at the University of Miami. Like, what does that mean to you? Like when we start talking about like this new era and how you're you're that perfect fit down there.
Yeah, one, it changes every day. So, this new era is completely different than what it was 3 months ago or 7 months ago now that I took the job. So I think the biggest thing is just being adaptable. I think part of that is just, one, it goes into my age, two, and just being, I guess, closer to removed from playing and understanding what that means and the emotional maturity of the kids nowadays. Than if I was a little bit older and I had gotten to coaching, say 30, 40 years ago. It's a whole new world. It's completely different. So just being adaptable and I think not too stuck in some of my ways and being able to kind of read what's coming down the pipe and trying to figure out. I'm all for everything, but how can we be the best at?
Yeah.
So when you talk about like that kind of older generation of coaches, right? Before you accepted the job, did you talk to Coach L about kind of what's happening at Miami and his experience there, and what did that kind of relationship mean to you? The reputation he garnered there during his time.
I mean, he's been a family friend for a long time. Him and my father are extremely close, so someone I've known for a while. And then once getting down here, once getting the job, once getting to talk to him. And just understanding the lay of the land down here was really important to me. And I kind of got it through the interviewing process. It was big for me being somewhere that was really invested in basketball. And the university is that. It's kind of invested in this, in all sports, to be honest with you, with this new administration and new leadership we have with Joe being the president now and Dan being the AD here recently. And so everything is kind of turned over down here and it's added this kind of just want to be back on the national stage. And they're doing that in every way to help all the sports here at Miami.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, you were literally born with a ball. You probably came out of your mom's womb with a ball, to be honest with you. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, your dad, which is really unheard of, an All-American in both basketball and tennis at Maryland, 14-year vet, head coach for the Spurs, Sixers, and Cavaliers. Were you always kind of destined? I mean, obviously to play, you and your siblings or sibling were destined to play at a high level. Obviously you did, but did you ever wonder you'd be a coach?
I knew I was going to be a coach. I didn't think I would have to get into coaching so early, if that makes sense.
What happened?
I end up being only 5'10" and 160, so there's only so much money you can make it playing professional basketball at that size, So my whole identity and growing up was just to play in the NBA, and then you get that realization that that's probably not going to happen, and it's going to be hard. Do you really want to stay in Europe and these foreign countries and make anywhere from to have like $1,500 a month as you start, and so then I had the opportunity to go to Texas, where I graduated from, and it actually was my assistant coach where I started at Florida, Rob Lanier. My freshman year of college, he told me, which I was mad at him then, but it makes sense now. He's like, when you're done playing in Switzerland, I'm going to hire you to be one of my assistant coaches. Yep. And so he just happened to move from Florida back to Texas after my senior year of college. I didn't want to do it right away because I was still thinking I had a chance of going to be the next Chris Paul or something.
I do. I'm going to be the next Chris Paul.
Still, right? Still. And so then after that, he called me again, actually, as I was looking to transition into coaching. And so that's kind of had the opportunity to start there. And then from there, it just kind of it got me all the way to here, all my experiences.
Yeah. But, Sam, when you look at, and you were talking about who all he's coached for, okay? You go ahead, because you did it so eloquently when I was swearing at you yesterday in the car. Give me the laundry list. I mean, it's pretty much a who's who. I mean,
I don't think it's a secret on the national scene, but it's like, Jay, you've surrounded yourself by winners your entire life, from, your father, obviously your first coach, I'm assuming, right, in life and basketball, right. And then, played at the highest level in high school as a McDonald's All-American, recruited by Billy Donovan, transferred to Texas with Rick Barnes, and then you coached with Rick Barnes and then retained by Coach Smart, John Calipari, John Shire, and now you're here. There's really no gaps. Is that it? No, my point is, like, there's no gaps in like surrounding yourself by winners at a high at an elite level. You didn't really take any years off. And so, but like, what has that meant where it's like you just have this Rolodex of either Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers that coached at such an elite level that you've always been able to turn to?
Yeah, it's been great, and I've just been blessed to be able to be around them and be put in those situations where I can be around them and not taking it for granted. Is the biggest thing. And I think also part of that journey is that each one of those stops, I did something a little bit different, which is important in taking over this. So, my first stop at Texas when I started with Coach Barnes was like a paid GA role. So I learned how to cut film. I learned how to, do all the little things like that. You got to run the clock, got to sweep up the floors, do those things. And then, Coach Smart was my assistant coach when I was at Florida. So he happened to get the Texas job, and I happened to stay on. And then from that job, when he got there, I moved into operations. So understanding the order uniforms, bus, plane, all those types of things. And then I eventually moved up to assistant coach there at Texas. And, he was a big part and a big reason of my foundation and culture and understanding how important it is to a program and being able to not only put it on a piece of paper, but demonstrate it in everything you do. So that was one of the things I learned to him. And then, my transition from Texas to Kentucky was I've been in Texas. I was a former player. I wanted to kind of spread my wings and get outside of my comfort zone as being a former player at a university, being in the state I was from and all that. So I wanted to see how good I actually was. You can get away with some stuff when you're a former player and alumnus and stuff. So I went to Kentucky and I actually took a demotion, as some people would say it, from assistant coach to just a director of recruiting. And I did that for a little bit, and I had the opportunity to get elevated back to assistant coach there. And it's Coach Cal. He's kind of the father of the one and done era in the best ways to put it. He's innovative. He's forward thinking, even for someone who's older. He understands like seeing ahead where things are and being brutally honest is the one thing I took from him. And so then I was starting to really want to pursue this dream and this goal of being a head coach. And I was trying to figure out what was the next step for me to help me prepare me as much as possible. And I felt that was going to work for somebody who's been a first-time head coach and doing it at a high level. which I wanted to do as well. So the opportunity came to go to Duke with John, who was a former player like myself, who was the same age as myself, and he was taking over a big job for the first time. And I wanted to be somewhere where I could be at the ground floor and kind of see some of the stuff that I would have to deal with, hopefully when my opportunity came to be able to do that. And I was, and being with somebody who's closer in your age, coaching with them and having your voice feel like it's heard a little bit more and having a little bit more input was huge too in this transition. And so then the opportunity came to take over the University of Miami. I was comfortable in the sense of I felt like I knew what was needed at every position and every role within the program to be successful because I had done it all. I had been that person. So even as a player, I started. I've been a rotational player. I've been a guy who didn't play. I was one of the first people in the portal. So understanding that aspect of it. So just, I think being in all these situations and being around all these great people just helped me get as much information and as much confidence, which is needed as well to be able to do a job of this magnitude as my first.
Yeah.
It's a good transition into like kind of the relatability that you have with these players, right? I mean, you were McDonald's All-American, you were a bench player, you were a starter, you transferred, you played in Europe, you played pro ball. Like we talk to a lot of coaches about relationship building with players and how that's changed over the years, but it's even more important today than it's ever been. Right. Can you talk a little bit about building relationships in today's era of college basketball, not just like going season to season, but like what does that mean to like still have the opportunity to build lifelong relationships as a mentor and a servant leader for some of these players?
Yeah, you know, and in my program, we believe in three things: relationships, development, and competition. And relationship really is that biggest foundational piece out of all of them. And, you know, it used to be, I said, this has been the biggest change. When I was a player and when I was growing up, the head coach would say whatever and you would do it just because he's the head coach. Now the kids ask why. You can tell them to do something, they say why. And that's the biggest difference is being able and being okay. Yeah, both being able and being okay to explain why this is important and why you need to do it, and kind of conversing with them, but also holding them accountable and holding them to a standard at the same time. And that's kind of part of relationship building is just spending that time with them and being more hands-on. You know, I'm not a coach who just shows up before practice and leaves right after practice. You know, I still would do individual workouts. I'm still on the court with them. You got to be able to learn about the person. You got to talk to them about stuff outside of basketball and understanding that part of it. So it's completely different in the sense of one, the kids have changed because society has changed. And so now you have to kind of meet them where they are, but also holding true to like not being a friend and holding them accountable and being demanding without being demeaning.
Yeah. Sam, now let me ask you something, Sam. If you said why to me when I coached you 20-something years ago, how would that have gone? Just give me your opinion on that.
Yeah, probably some 5 a.m. stair running.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is kids, you know, part of it's making money, but part of it is just the way the world is, and it's changed a lot. And so I'm sure they say why to their parents now too. So it's just not coaches, but before
my kids don't.
Yeah,
my kids will be perfect for you because they know
my house, but
they know what happens if they ask why. So I find it really interesting. You know, I grew up, though I was born and raised in Canada, I grew up a big fan of Miami, Florida football. Okay. The U. All right. As it's simply called. And I remember seeing some of the shows, you know, the ESPN documentaries when Howard Schnellenberger came in and even Jimmy Johnson came in. There was a huge focus on recruiting Miami, Dade County, the outstanding counties, and then the state of Florida. I see a lot of that in your initial lineup. You got a handful of kids from Miami. You got about 7 kids, half your kids on your roster from Florida. How much of an emphasis are you going to put on, you know, Miami recruiting, the outside area, Orlando, and then Florida as a state?
Yeah, I mean, a big emphasis. And this first year is really important to me because in this new era with this portal and stuff, how do you still find guys who have pride in the jersey they wear? and it's not as transactional as it is, And for me, being somebody who played for my home state and whose family could come to every game, I understood the type of pride that I had when you just put those colors on and put them in a place that represents you, and you look up and your mom and your grandma's there. You're gonna play a little bit harder when it's in person and not a phone call. So I understood that part of it, and I wanted to really build this first one off of that, and having people who had that pride in it, and then also moving forward. Part of why I took this job is kind of what's in the pipeline in the state of Florida. Also moving forward is it's kind of trending towards it'll always be a football state, but there's some high level basketball coming down. When you put from the kids from here, but also the amount of prep schools and stuff that moved to the state of Florida is just it's kind of a melting pot right now in the basketball.
And Sam, I really like his roster. The one kid that got me really excited because we've seen him in person, Sam, is True Washington.
Yeah,
I'm a huge, and then he's got True Washington and Trey Donaldson. And Trey.
So talk about because we already hit on relationships, but didn't you recruit Drew's uncle at one point?
I did.
So how easy was that phone call? When you got the head coaching job to call
Sam, it doesn't mean his uncle liked him. Doesn't mean
I know.
Pick up the phone.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out here.
No, they're never easy, but there was a built-in relationship and built-in trust. I did recruit his uncle at Kentucky, Tata Washington. So I've known him for a while, known his family. We've always stayed in touch and always stayed in contact. And there's just a level of trust when you've been through some stuff together. You know what I mean? I sat at Tata's table in the green room. And so they're like family. And so when he went in the portal, I knew exactly what I wanted and what I want this team to look like. And he was a big part of it. He's a guy who is like a Swiss Army knife. You can kind of do whatever, and he can kind of do whatever. And he got his own way of getting about there, but he get it done. And that's the exciting thing about him, because he can go and get 20 in the game.
Okay. Yeah, I like your initial roster though. I really, Malik Renault, Trey Donaldson. I watched both those guys in the Big Ten. And even some of these other players. I like the freshmen. I think it's a nice. You got some top 100 recruits. I think you're going to excite and surprise some people year one.
I feel that way too. I like my team.
It seems like you've got that blend of that holy trinity of really energetic freshmen, experience on the court, and then that third piece now in today's ball is Europe, and it's you've got kind of all three of those pieces, and it's your reputation as one of the best defensive minds in college basketball. Can you talk about how, when you put this roster together, that's going to fit that kind of Jay Lucas brand ball identity?
Yeah, with it being my first year, I wanted to really build this team about something and around something I'm really comfortable with coaching, and that was defensively on that side of the ball. So I wanted to make sure we were really good at that side. I wanted to make sure we had really good positional size. So we're big, we're strong, we're athletic, we're physical. We can rebound, we can really guard. We got great versatility with our roster and our size, and that was important to me right away and initially, but also moving forward. And then, like you explained, I know we may not be with rankings, all these rankings go out the window, but I have two of the best freshmen in the country.
Yep.
I'll put them against anybody, anywhere, with Sheldon Henderson and Dante Allen.
Yep.
Those two, what they've shown in practice, and I've been around high-level freshmen.
Yep.
They're right on par.
Yep.
So I'm excited about them as well. With the mix of those other guys too, and my European.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I love it. One of the first things you did, and I think one of the most difficult things a new head coach has to do, is put together a coaching staff.
Yeah.
So, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about kind of your coaching team. Coach Pastrana came from Georgia, Coach CY, from Mizzou and FSU, has just a family of ballers on his side with his wife and daughters.
Yeah.
And then you got Andrew Moran, who you brought up from the high school coaching ranks. He was last year's Naismith High School Coach of the Year, and then Russell Springman, who I feel you've had a couple decade relationship with. Can you talk a little bit? Have these guys always been in the back of your mind saying, hey, if I get a head coaching position, these guys are going to be one of my first calls?
Well, yes and no. Andrew Moran was when I figured this would be a kind of, I guess this opportunity may come true because I've been down here recruiting the last 3 years. I went to his school, so I've seen him work, I've seen him practice, I've seen him coach, I've seen him teach, and then I'm big into skill development side. He's one of the best ones in the country. So that one for me was kind of a no-brainer. And then I wanted to kind of fill in the rest of the staff with, I like to say, kind of to be extensions of me, if somehow there was some type of comparison. So like Eric Pastrana was somebody I got to know when he was when he was at Oklahoma. He kind of operated. We have similar personality, temperaments. CY, and then Eric's also from Wellington, Florida. So it's kind of true. Staff was true to. I didn't want people come down here being on vacation. You know what I mean? You come to Miami and I see that face. That's what I didn't want. And so then, CY is synonymous in college coaching. He's one of the best assistant coaches there is as a teacher, but also as a person, and his experience 36 years. So his relatability to the players was important to me to go along with it, teaching. Coach Freeman was my assistant coach when I was in college. We worked together. I always tease him and say he's one of the greatest recruiters ever because he got so whatever happens, he always have a job, But as a teacher and his attention to detail is at such a high level, it was important for me to make sure I had that. And then both him, CY, all my staff have head coaching experiences at different levels, which was important. So CY and Freeman, both D1 head coaches. Coach Moran, high school head coach. Coach Pastrana, JUCO head coach. So no matter, it may not be at this level, those experiences that you go through in that seat are all helpful to me because they've felt it in some way, some form of fashion. So that was important. So that was kind of how I puzzle pieced it together, and why I did it the way I did. And then we have a front office. We have a general manager who came from the NBA. And the way I'm using my front office is to gather as much information to help these guys understand what it means to be a pro. And so having somebody from the NBA who, has been in those meetings and those things. And then we have a director of player personnel who I like to call an advanced evaluator. So we put him in one of these assistant coaches roles, but his job is to kind of be everywhere when we can, and to go watch talent. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on through the year, and I want my assistant coaches here coaching. So instead of sending them, we can send him to kind of be our eyes and ears and gather information and see the kids and go out there and kind of evaluate for us.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. Well, we're going to move into a little phase of our show called the shot clock. LT is going to fire off maybe 3 questions. Okay. Lead to a short story here, but the platform's going to be yours. LT, let's get it.
All right. Should we go hard or should we go soft? Okay. Let's go. Let's kind of slide into this. All right. Best coaching advice you were ever given by any of your mentors?
Oh, that is a great question. I guess the best coaching advice I was ever given by any of my mentors probably comes from Shaka Smart. And his big thing was never forget who you are, no matter where you are. Stay true to what you do and what you are best at. And as long as you do that, you'll be fine. And it was a big one because we were kind of at his transition from DCU to Texas. And then before he left and went to Marquette. So it makes a lot of sense with what he was saying, especially now sitting in the seat.
Yeah, that's horrible advice because that was pre-hair shot. Yeah. So I wouldn't listen to that one. He's changed now with the hair. I actually knew when he was an Akron. I used to know when he was an assistant. Yeah, I used to know him as an assistant at Akron, so I know about the bald hair and so okay. So define the current state of Florida high school basketball and what that means for the University of Miami.
I mean, like I said earlier, it's a melting pot. It's bubbling. You just had two kids. You had 2 kids who were McDonald's All-Americans who just, left and went on, and it's kind of trickled down. So you have probably 2 kids that can be McDonald's All-Americans this year, and then a few the next years. And so these next 3 classes is really loaded from a high school standpoint, and then also from a portal transport. You know what I mean? Just like we got Trey Donaldson, Malik Renault, you got kids that always want to come home.
Yep.
To Florida is different. Coming home to Miami is different than going home to like.
Say it. Yeah, Akron, Ohio. You say it.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't say it.
My wife curses me why we live here. I'm like, I just look her in the eye and I'm like, you're from here. Okay, so which coach would you say that you worked under is the funniest?
Coach Cal, by far.
Yeah.
By far. I mean, some of the stories that he has and some of the stories I could tell, he by far is the best because everything he says makes sense. You know, it doesn't make sense in the moment, but then when something happens, you're like, oh, I get it. I get it.
I don't know if you saw the meme last year of him in Kentucky pushing his dog in a pram. So, yeah.
I did. He loves those dogs. So I'll tell one quick story about the dog.
Yeah.
So he would be the king of random staff meetings. So it'll be like 8:30 at night, and we'll get a text or something like staff meeting in 30 minutes. All right. So if he came in with the dogs, you're only going to be there 10 minutes. If you came in without the dogs, it was going to be at least an hour. So that's how we judged how long we're going to be there for the staff meeting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Give me your funniest recruiting story.
Oh, funniest recruiting story?
Yeah.
I don't really
I mean, you're an elite recruiter. You got to have one or two. I mean, we've heard everything from blowing the toilet bowl up from Calvin Sanderson to.
I got some heartbreaks that I guess aren't funny, but they're funny now in retrospect. You get the phone call that the kid is committing, and then 20 minutes later he announces he's going to another school. Tell your boss that he's coming, and then on Twitter it pops up that he's going somewhere else.
The highs and lows.
The highs and lows.
Yep.
So then your boss is mad at you for a couple of days. But I don't have any really funny ones.
That's right.
That come to mind.
Coach, just stop there because I feel like we're going to get depressing stories of the recruiting trail.
No, I won't get any depressing ones.
Should write a book about it.
So I got called Peanut for a whole year. Okay, that's how I knew when something was going bad. I guess that would be my one funny one. Is if I get yelled Peanut from the stands, that means she wasn't happy.
Oh, jeez.
But her son was really good. So.
Yeah. All right, Peanut.
You got more good ones than bad ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of peanuts. So.
Oh my God! All right, so I'm going to start calling you Peanut, Lucas. So, how many bids will the ACC get in the NCAA tournament this year?
I will say we will get 6 to 7. 6 for sure. 6 for sure.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. My kids do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it on the Full Court Network. I'm just going to do what my kids do, but I'm not going to say it. Now, in that 6 or 7, not the 6-7 or 6.5 as I like to call it, is Miami included in the big dance this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it.
I'm excited. Of course, you got to get, you got to stay healthy. It's a lot of things that have to go right. I think as long as we stay healthy and we keep trending in the direction I feel we're headed, I think we have the opportunity to do that. But also, I think, the league and its kind of transition period and the new coaches and not getting away, but you had so many Hall of Fame coaches that once they all started retiring, there was going to be these transition years. And I think we're on the other side of that now this year.
Yep. All right. Last question. And this is going to say a lot about you. Give me the song that best describes you. What's your walkout song that first game?
Oh, that is a great question. You asked, this shot clock game has probably been my favorite game I played.
There you go.
My walkout song. I'm a big Drake guy. So it's going to have to be a Drake. I'm trying to think which one. I'm gonna go headlines.
All right. I like it.
I like it. You passed, Coach. You passed. You failed the recruiting question, Peanut.
I did. I haven't been recruited long enough to have any funny ones.
Yeah, I doubt that. If you were gonna put together like all the past 10 years of your coaching, all the players you've recruited, if you had to put a starting lineup out there, who would be your starting 5 of players you've personally recruited?
Oh, great question. Just from their college careers?
Yes.
Okay, so starting flop 5. At 5, I would start with Miles Turner.
He's not bad.
At 4, I would go to Jared Allen. At 3, I would 3 Cooper Flagg.
Okay.
Cooper Flagg will be 3.
Yeah, but you didn't recruit him, supposedly. I'm just kidding. Bad joke. Sorry, Peanut. Bad joke.
It was his mom that called me Peanut, too.
We got it.
So 3 would be Cooper Flagg. Actually, no, I'm moving it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
3 would be Cam Boozer.
Oh,
yeah. 2 would be Cooper Flagg.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to watch the game. I just saw Cam Boozer's stats, but he's good.
Yeah, whatever. Yep, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the 1, which you'll find funny, is I haven't really recruited any really good. It's been big. It's been like wings and up.
Yeah,
who I have recruited. So at the 1, Cason Wallace.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it is pretty wild. Like all these guys are bigs, right? And it's like, when I look at you, you were the smallest guy in your McDonald's All-American roster by a couple inches, and so, but you're just an elite recruiter, elite coach. We wish you nothing but the best at the U. We'll be watching you. I think you've got a really intriguing team this year, and you're building something special there. You deserve nothing but success. So we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, Coach. So
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You know what? So what's the expectation? You got 10 seconds to shout out the Hurricane Nation. What can they expect from the first year of the Jay Lucas era?
I mean, you're going to see an exciting brand of basketball. It's going to be something that you want to come see in person and turn on the TV. We'll be tough. We'll be together. We'll be gritty. Every time you see us in the jersey and see the U on us, you're going to know it's a representation of the university, the city, and the people. And
love it.
I can guarantee you that. So,
love it. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you. Going to stick on 1 second while we upload. Check out the Miami Hurricanes on the hardwood and the Coral Gables. It's going to be an exciting time in the ACC. Sam and I have talked about this quite a bit. The ACC is going to be next level this year. So when he said 6 or 7, it was definitely believable. So, Coach, thanks for being on the Full Court Press, and College Basketball Coaches Show, powered by the Full Court Network. We'll be back next with another great coach and a great guest, and hopefully Sam will join us. So check us out on the Full Court Network YouTube page. And thanks a lot. Thanks for watching and loving basketball.